Good evening from the Speed Center. Time for one last ride. We've got a full house tonight. Let's get this thing started.
This is what it's all about. We are letting loose right now on Speed Center. Road racing or road rage. NASCAR gives it a go at the Glen. Nationwide and Spring Cup wowed the crowd. See who stirred up some serious shit. Call it holy ground. It's the race of races for winged sprints. We're talking Knoxville, baby. Rocking it with precision. The sports cars double down with a stop at Road America. Aggression, aggravation. It's what Speed Center is built on. Pull your belts tight. This is one wild ride.
Hello and thanks for spending part of your Sunday with us. I'm Adam Alexander. It's all over at Watkins Glen. We show you the winners and losers in the wild card chase coming up. And here to help us out, we got our man Sam Hornish Jr. and James Hinchcliffe in the house tonight. Watkins Glen, high speeds and aggressive drivers. This should be good, right?
You got a couple late race restarts in there, too. Who knows what's going to happen?
Unpredictable, right, James?
It always is here. I mean, this is one of those cool classic road courses that we have left in the country, and I know everybody loves coming here. Always puts on great racing.
Let's look back, see how it all played out as we close in on the chase for the championship in the Sprint Cup Series. One guy to always keep an eye on, Marcos Ambrose, going for his third win in a row at the Glen, started on the pole. He was great early, leading more than 50 laps, but your teammate, Brad Keselowski, having some issues, Sam.
Yeah, early on in the race, Brad trying to work his way up through the top 10 and gets a little bit of wheel hop going in there. He pays for it, but the good thing about it is nobody collects him. He's able to spin it around and keep going.
He was running 7th, dropped back to 22nd. He would rally. More on him in a moment. Here's Max Pappas filling in for Tony Stewart. He had some issues as well.
Great opportunity for him. Gets turned around here in the bus stop, but he manages to rally back and still get a top 15.
Great day for him. Hendrick Motorsports, not so much. So successful the last couple of weeks. Jeff Gordon, the all-time leader when it comes to road course victories, started 28th. Finished all the way back in the 36th position. Hard hit for the 24.
It is, just coming off the top of the S's there. It's a high-speed part of the track, got in the grass, hooked to the inside wall. Always a big hit at Watkins Glen.
He wasn't the only Hendrick driver having problems. Casey Kane gets sideways here. He finished 34th. Big reason why. Dale Jr. nowhere to go collects him. NASCAR's most popular driver was 30th today, Sam.
Yeah, tough day for the Hendrick boys. Even Jimmy Johnson not having quite the day that you would expect out of him. Tough thing about Watkins Glen, you always get that opportunity to bounce off one wall, then to get hit by a car.
You mentioned Jimmy Johnson. He wasn't great today. Started 18th, but just like this team always does, finds a way to get up to the front. He ends up 8th, certainly not as dominant as you would expect. Kyle Busch running 2nd when he goes wide here.
Yeah, Kyle's trying to get every last bit he can. They got that new repaved area right outside the curbs there. Fills up the grill with grass and even over top of some of the brake hoses. And one of the things that really worked out for him is that he was getting ready to pit shortly after that, so it didn't last too long.
He pitted under green, which was great because the caution came out right here when Eric Almirola hits the tires. That means Marcos Ambrose is going to pit under caution. When it's all said and done, the advantage cycles back to Kyle Busch.
It's like they say, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Today, Kyle Busch and the 18 were both.
Ambrose outside the top 10 and in traffic, and more problems with 6 laps to go.
Yeah, once you get back to the traffic, everybody starts kind of moving each other around. Marcus had a problem, whether it was mechanical or a tire going down. He just was a little bit too slow going through. Max turned him around, and unfortunately, Brian Vickers gets taken out of this as well.
It's frustrating when you dominate and you don't get the fruits of your labor.
It certainly is, and he took it out on the steering wheel. But no, this is the best race for him statistically. He's won it 2 years on the trot, started from pole. So as a driver, when you've got a great opportunity like that and it comes away, it's hard to swallow.
Final restart, 2 laps to go. That's Kyle Busch leading. And how about Brad Keselowski? A runner-up the last 2 years at Watkins Glen. Power move around Truex to get the 2nd position here. He tries to run down Kyle Busch, but he's unable to do it. Rowdy going to get his 3rd win of the year, his 3rd career victory on a road course. He gets the checkered flag and big-time bonus points as we get set for the chase. It is now just 4 races away. We check out the results from today's event. Kyle at the top. We talked about Brad Keselowski, who's now been a runner-up 3 consecutive times at Watkins Glen. And how about Michael Waltrip Racing? Martin Truex Jr., Clint Boyer, both finishing inside the top 6 today, James.
It's great. You see a powerhouse team like Hendrick really struggle this weekend, have bad results, but this team really pulled it together and took advantage.
Good effort for Carl Edwards in the top 5. Juan Pablo Montoya as well finishing inside the top 5. We all know what a great road course racer he is every time we visit one of these venues. For more on today's winner, let's shoot it over to Sam.
Well, whenever you talk about going to Watkins Glen, you got to talk about Kyle Busch. I said this morning that I thought that he was going to be a guy that was going to contend for this win late. The last 2 years, he's led the most laps, hasn't got away with the win. But today, he did it. His 27th career victory. The most impressive thing that I take out of this, though, is 8 straight top 10 finishes and 9 starts there. Let's talk to Kyle and see what he has to say about it.
You know, certainly beneficial to win a race here before the chase starts to get some more bonus points. I feel like we're in a good position to make the chase, and you know, it just helps our seeding. So, but overall today, I mean, the guys did a great job this weekend. Dave and everybody that worked on the car, they did a good job for me. I appreciate that. You know, today was just you know, the fruits of their labor, being able to get up front and lead those laps there towards the end of the race, and then be able to win there at the end. So they're on cold tires. It really wouldn't turn too well for me. So struggling a little bit with that, but was able to hold off you know, the guys that are hungry behind us.
And now our championship standings presented by Chevrolet. Jimmy Johnson and Matt Kenseth. They would be your number 1 seed because they have 4 victories, but they now have some company. Kyle Busch with his 3rd win on the campaign, and he's starting to gain some ground on the front, and he's got the all-important momentum as we get ready to go to Michigan next week. So, guys, let's talk about that final restart. So much pressure when you're the race leader. Kyle Busch managed it nicely today, keeping Brad Keselowski and others behind him.
He had multiple restarts towards the end there and really gave outstanding performances on each one of them. He was able to pull out to a little bit of a lead. In a lot of ways, that last couple laps, he only ran the car as hard as he had to keep Brad behind him and basically blocked any kind of run that Brad was going to be able to get. Kyle played the race exactly the way that he needed to. He's been super strong there over the years. And like you say, anywhere that you go, you got to count on Kyle to be able to go out there and to be able to win. He's just that versatile.
James, I think sometimes we take for granted how good Kyle Busch is and what a talented driver he has become. He can win anywhere, and today getting his 3rd career victory on a road course.
It's incredibly impressive, man. And if you look at what he's achieved in the last, 5, 6, 7 years in all 3 of NASCAR's top series, it's just incredible. Every kind of track he can win at, he wins all the time. And, he was so dominant today. He had so many restarts where he had to pull away and had a big gap. I love right here, though, he took the pressure from Brad, dealt with it well. And I also got to give big ups to Brad because he had the opportunity to move him. He's come 2nd here 2 years in a row. Would have been really easy, really tempting to do it. So big credit to him for, being the bigger man and taking the 2nd place.
And not only 2nd at Watkins Glen 2 years in a row, let's not forget the defending series champion still looking for his 1st win of 2013. Here's his reaction post-race.
It just didn't come together at the end. I was going to have to wreck Kyle to beat him, and I took him right to that edge, but he held on, and I thought I had him on the crossover through 11, and just these cars have such a huge aero wake behind them that when I crossed through his wake, the car just lost all grip, and I didn't have a shot at it. So just the way it goes.
Well, in the last lap, I was hoping they'd crash each other because that was the only shot I had, to be honest. We had a really good car on new tires today. On the longer runs, Kyle was definitely way better than we were. The 9 was really good, obviously, out front until he got back in the pack. We almost got the lead there once on new tires. I feel like if we could have got some of that clean air and taken care of the tires a little better, we may have been able to hold them off. I'm not sure.
I was in the way heading up the hill and got dumped by somebody. I'm not sure who it was, and just ended up in the fence. We put on a strong showing. I'm proud of my Stanley team and everybody at Richard Petty Motorsports for giving me the opportunity to run well. And, it wasn't our day, but we've had plenty of good days here, so we just need to reflect on this, and we'll wake up tomorrow and just press on and go to the next one.
And now there are 4 races to go to the chase, and the drama continues to unfold when you look at the Chevrolet championship points 11 through 20. Wild card, totally different than it was going into today's race. Casey Kane falling outside the top 10 with those 2 victories. He has wild card position number 1. Ryan Newman with that win at Indianapolis a couple of weeks ago, 14th in the championship, has wild card spot number 2. Let's go back to Watkins Glen. Welcome Bob Dillner into Speed Center. We were just looking at the championship standings, Bob. So let's go winners and losers when it comes to the title fight. And let's begin at Hendrick Motorsports. As an organization, they've been great in recent weeks. Didn't work out for them today. Negative impact for Kane and Gordon when it comes to making the chase.
Yeah, you know, Kane still got that coveted wild card spot by virtue of his 2 victories, like you said. But honestly, that team last week, think about their victory at Pocono. They told me after the race, we're not really concerned with the 2 victories because we think we have a good enough team that we're going to stay in the top 10 in points. And then they take the big hit. Thank goodness they do have those 2 victories right now because it is certainly playing into their hands. So they definitely have to get back on the right track when we get to Michigan. And talk about getting back on the right track. We all thought Jeff Gordon was going to be pretty good here. Riding a streak of 5 top 10s in the last 6 races. Comes here, he was out to lunch all day long. He was battling in the back of the pack when he had that incident, trying to check up when Denny Hamlin slowed in front of him a little bit. So that team is very topsy-turvy. They ride the momentum of emotion. And right now, I saw Jeff Gordon leaving here today. You could tell this really affected him today. So they need to wipe this out of their memory bank, get back on track next week, and go back to what they know, that streak coming into this race where they had some top 10 finishes. That's the thing that they need to get back on track with.
So Kane and Gordon fall outside the top 10. Moving in, Martin Truex Jr. and defending champion Brad Keselowski.
And Brad Keselowski, this was good for him. Yes, he's finished second here 3 consecutive years, and that's a bummer for Brad Keselowski and the boys. But at the same time, this was only their 4th top 10 in the last 14 races. The big thing will be getting to the place like Michigan and seeing whether that Blue Deuce and those guys can perform there. But for Martin Truex Jr., he came into this race with 4 consecutive finishes outside the top 10. He told me after this race, thankfully, the flat tracks are done because that team has a lot of work to do. Everybody at MWR has a lot of work to do on those flat tracks. He's looking forward to getting back to the banking of Michigan next week, and he believes that they can stay in the top 10 in points. Thankfully, they do have that victory, but this team has been on the downslope, and this was certainly a good way for them to rebound.
Another big winner when it comes to the championship, Bob, Kyle Busch, the man that got the checkered flag today. His 3rd victory of the year, moving him behind Jimmy Johnson and Matt Kenseth in that category. How big of a statement was made by that 18 team today when you go big picture and talk about chasing a title?
Well, the victory is good for morale, certainly for the team. But this is what I look at for Kyle Busch. I still think, and we say this every year right about this time, I think we're seeing a more mature team. Not just Kyle Busch, but team. You think of the last 10 races, 8 top 10 finishes in that span. 2 other finishes, well, he's got a 12th and a 30-plus finish. So I like the way this team is poising themselves at peaking right before we get to the chase. That's very big to carry that momentum before we get in there. And I think Kyle Busch has the right frame of mind. If he can't win, guess what? He's going to get the best finish he can. And that's what championship racers do. I think he's one of those guys that can certainly challenge Jimmy Johnson. And I still think Matt Kenseth will be pretty darn good when we get to the chase.
And he may not be done winning yet. We got Bristol and Richmond still on the schedule prior to the playoffs beginning next month. Bob, thanks. We'll see you later in the show.
Thanks a lot, Adam.
And now a reminder of how good Kyle Busch is when it comes to road racing at NASCAR's top level. Sam mentioned this earlier, 8 top 10s and 9 starts at Watkins Glen, collecting his 2nd career victory there today. His other road course win coming in 2008 when he swept the 2 road course events. 2 top 10s at Sonoma. Pretty good for driver 18. Time for our lead lap. That's a look ahead at what's still to come on Speed Center. More reaction from today's event at Watkins Glen for Sprint Cup teams. Next, we talk about yesterday's nationwide race and tell you why the next 2 weeks are so important. Then we hit the dirt, a little history at Knoxville in the Nationals. Stay with us. It's all on Speed Center.
Speed Center is brought to you by Royal Purple, the performance oil that outperforms.
Welcome back to Speed Center. Let's talk about the Nationwide Series because Sam is here, and after all, he's right in the middle of that championship battle. Watkins Glen on the schedule yesterday. Different mentality for you guys when you go to a road course?
For sure, there's a different mentality. The biggest thing about going to these road course races are that you know that there's going to be the restarts. And all the restarts that you have on a road course, you generally go into a deep braking corner, and it's going to make for a little bit of action. So I'm always looking forward to seeing what's going to happen on those.
You should love road course racing. You're awfully good there. Let's check out what went down yesterday afternoon in New York. Kyle Busch started on the front row with Sam, who was on the pole. Busch spins out and gets hit by Mike Wallace. He was not a factor. Austin Dillon entered the championship leader. They had some mechanical issues. His goal to finish inside the top 10. Despite their problems, they were 11th. I think they'll take it. Regan Smith, pretty solid as well.
Yeah, Regan had a really good, solid day. He was able to really go on some of the restarts and be able to go out there. I think his car was a little bit too tight, which kept him from, probably doing a little bit better over the long run.
Smith was 4th. Elliott Sadler in the top 5.
Yeah, Elliott had a pretty bad day on Friday. It wasn't as fast as they wanted to. Ended up getting in the wall, and they fixed it and got a top 5.
And you were just trying to chase down your teammate all afternoon.
That's a real familiar point of view that I got from last year. Got it again this year. Worked real hard to try to get him to make a mistake, but Brad did everything he needed to do to be able to go out there and win. He was tough yesterday.
Impressive for BK that he's now won in 4 consecutive nationwide starts. He delivers at Watkins Glen on Saturday. Here's the driver of the Double Deuce.
Just an awesome car and an awesome team effort. I think all 3 of the Penske cars were really fast, and that was good to see. I'm really proud of Team Penske and the whole Nationwide program because the Ford Mustangs have been on a roll. This is our 4th win in a row in the 22 car, and we just kind of picked our battles all day long and came out strong.
Now we look at the Rent-A-Center results from Saturday afternoon's race. One guy we didn't talk about in the highlight, Brian Vickers, started 8th, finished 3rd.
Brian always goes out there on these road courses, and he runs well. He has good cars. Anywhere you go to that's flat, braking, Loudon, Martinsville, you know that he's going to be in the picture. Good day, helped him out a lot in the points.
Regan Smith took a big hit in the last road course race at Road America. Much better yesterday. We told you, finishing 4th. Here's his reaction.
Actually, a little disappointed with 4th. I felt like we probably could have pulled 3rd off there, and I just got too tight on that last restart. First couple laps, I was really tight, and there were certain corners of the track I couldn't quite get my nose to rotate the way I wanted to of the race car. But we'll take that. Happy about the Taxslayer Chevy looking like it's in one piece here, and we can use this car next week.
I don't know if there's something hurting the line or what. It just stopped feeding fuel. So we were kind of just nursing it home there at the end. I think we could have probably got our goal, which was top 10. It started knocking half seconds out of our lap time each time, so or more. So it's a little frustrating, but we're lucky to get out of here with that after what was going on.
James is back with us on Speed Center. We'll visit with him after we look at the standings here. Kind of forgot about those. Austin Dillon, 3 points in front of Sam Hornish Jr. And how about this? 18 points separating the top 5 drivers. Regan Smith only 5 behind in 3rd. And now I can deliver on my promise. Hinch is here, and look for a package this week. I'm going to send you one of those Austin Dillon cowboy hats, all right?
I cannot wait.
Okay. And Sam, a big couple of weeks straight ahead when you look at the schedule for Nationwide teams.
It really is, and more importantly, for the 12 team. I feel like these are really good races for us to be able to capitalize on how I run on the road courses and how much I like short tracks. So I'm really looking forward to going out there and hopefully living up to what our potential is. The big downfall, or the thing that can bite you, is getting these late race restarts. Everybody gets jumbled up, whether it's at Bristol or it's at Mid-Ohio where we're going last weekend. The big thing is to be fast enough to keep away from them. I know it's easy to say, but it's a lot harder to do.
You mentioned Mid-Ohio next week. You were just there in an IndyCar, James, so I'm going to give you an opportunity to give some advice to our man here.
It's tough to give advice to a 3-time IndyCar champion, so I'm not going to jump on that train. Obviously, I've been there maybe a little more recently, but I imagine you've raced there a lot, grown up in the area. It's a great track. It's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, I'm certainly going to tune in and watch the stock cars there because it's a lot of fun driving and watching the Indy cars there. But these guys, I think, are going to put on a hell of a show.
How much does the experience help going to next weekend?
Well, I think it's going to help us a lot, help me out for sure. We got an opportunity to go up there and do the test as well, which none of the other guys in the series had ever been there before. So when you're going up there for NASCAR, wants to make sure that they know exactly what's going to happen with the cars and how they're going to handle them and get the right gears down. But I've been in there from go-karts, Indy cars, Formula Fords, Toyota Atlantics, in the rain, out of the rain, all that good stuff. And I'm looking forward to going there. It's a nice track that's got some different speeds up over some crests. It's very narrow. Kind of reminds me of Watkins Glen in some ways.
We'll see what happens. It's going to be fun. Third road course race of the year for the Nationwide Series. You know, Sam and James, they know open wheel, and we will hit the dirt after the break. The Nationals game changer in Knoxville, Iowa. All I can say about last night is he did it again. And the Grand Am crew takes on the monster that is Road America. How did this weekend stop in Wisconsin shake up the standings? We've got the answer. The second and final road course race of the season is complete for Sprint Cup teams. Only 4 races to go to the chase. A return trip to Watkins Glen on the way. First, our Mazda open wheel update. And for that, we head to Corn Country, the Knoxville Nationals in Iowa. A date that is circled in red for sprint car fans each and every year. Donnie Schatz had won 6 of the last 7 entering last night. However, the Tony Stewart Racing driver had to race his way into the main event last night. He won the B main. We pick up action with the 4-wide salute. Plenty of electricity in Knoxville last night. Opening lap, we got problems. That is Stevie Smith going up and over. He would be okay. Now, on the pole when this thing began, Brian Brown. All the way back in 21st, Donnie Schatz. There's no way you can drive from 21st and win at Knoxville, right? Wrong. Schatz got after it. He brings it to the front. With 9 to go, he's going to get the top spot from Brown. Can you believe this? Oh, Schatz. Donnie has done it again, winning at Knoxville. It's his 7th win in the last 8 years, and yes, it is worth celebrating. We look at the top 10 results from last night. Brown, who was on the pole and so good throughout the week, finishes in the runner-up position. And then you've got Justin Henderson, Paul McMahon, and Chad Kiminall, who make up the top 5. On now to the Rolex Sports Car Series. Racing this weekend at Road America. On the pole, Dane Cameron, Wayne Nonamaker. They would jump out to the early race lead. Problems here for a team that has championship thoughts. Scott Pruitt, Memo Rojas, that's Rojas driving, spins it out, running second, pretty much keeps it off the wall. They would rally back and finish 4th. How about the 10 car? Max Angelelli taking the lead away from the 42. And then we would have problems for the championship leaders. That's the Star Works number 8 blowing up after winning at Indianapolis a couple of weeks ago. More on the title chase in a moment. First, the battle for the lead. 42 car going back on point around the 10. But that 42 machine would deal with mechanical issues, and that would open up the door for the sister Star Works car to get the win. The number 2 machine of Brendan Hartley and Scott Mayer with their first ever DP victory. Congratulations. And on the GT side, Bill Alberlin going at it with Patrick Long. Great battle to the end. Alberlin and company getting their 3rd win of the season. Let's go ahead and look at the championship points. Diao and Popov stay up front despite the fact that they had problems yesterday. Only 4 in front of Gurney and Fogarty. And there you see Christian Fittipaldi overall is 7 behind in the DP class. American Le Mans Series making their home at Road America today. And as you can see, the conditions were less than ideal. Lucas Luhr gets the jump after starting on pole in that muscle milk machine. Now 30 minutes into the race, Luhr pits off the wets, puts on the slicks, handing the lead over to Catherine Legge in the Delta Wing. 15 minutes later, Legge gets stuck behind a Ferrari, and Luhr takes advantage to reclaim the lead. The racing very good today at Road America if you're an ALMS fan. Maybe it wasn't good for everyone, like Mark Goosens, who would find himself off track and into the pits. Jan Halen, actually, the man who went off track. He was okay. This thing finished under caution. Luhr's teammate, Klaus Graf, to the line for the win. It's the team's 5th consecutive ALMS victory. So you look at the numbers. We told you it's their 5th consecutive victory, which is amazing. That Muscle Milk team has been great all year. And Lucas Luhr going to be racing an IndyCar in a few weeks at Sonoma. In P2, IndyCar driver Simon Pagenaud, subbing for the injured Ryan Briscoe, gets the class win. Meanwhile, in GT, SRT Motorsports claimed its first win with their Viper. Plenty more Speed Center to come on this Sunday night. So glad you're here.
The Glen is in the rear-view mirror, but its aftermath is front and center. Up next on Speed Center, we break down what went down on the road course and what it means with 4 races left to the chase. You want bang for your buck? we've got the goods from Barrett Jackson in Reno. And don't try this with Daddy's truck. We're talking torque. From rad moves to bad moves. Wow spelled backwards is still wow. Speed Center. It's really not complicated.
Sprint Cup teams in Watkins Glen today. Kyle Busch had a strong race car. Pitted under green, had to clean the grill. The caution came out while he was on pit road, and that was huge because the race leader, Marcus Ambrose, then had to pit under yellow. When it all cycled through, Kyle was out front. Went from bad to worse for Ambrose, who spins out here. Started on pole, finished 31st. Final restart. Kyle Busch going at it with Brad Keselowski. He gets away from the two. Brad able to clear Martin Truex Jr., but he could not get back to Kyle. How about Kyle Busch? Momentum at the right time of the year. His third victory of the season. It's his second career win at the New York road course. Go ahead and burn it down, number 18. You look at the notables from today's race. We told you about Marcus Ambrose. He was in the 31st position today. And another name that we were talking about throughout the weekend, Max Pappas, filling in for the injured Tony Stewart. 29th to 15th is his day. Now his reaction.
I felt like Days of Thunder 2 times going up there on turn 2 and 3. It was all blocked. It was pretty crazy. And these guys are tough guys and never give up. And I think this is the spirit that Tony wanted me to have. You know, I pushed, I went from last to the middle of the field, fought really hard, and brought home the best I could.
You know, I think something was wrong with the 9. My spotter told me that was the case before we went green, but they weren't sure, and went down into turn 2. And I guess he was off pace, and the 14 got him turned around. And by the time, I mean, we were side by side with the 14. By the time I saw the 9 spinning, we had nowhere to go. And I thought I could get by him, but he caught us in the left rear, and it wasn't. I mean, he was sideways. Obviously, it wasn't intentional, but wrong place, wrong time.
Well, it's just a late caution. A bunch of the field up at the end, and guys just trying to make the most of their opportunity on restarts and get everything they can get. And, you know, some guys don't really like the way some other people were racing out there, and you know, I knew, you know, getting late caution like that, man, you're just drawing a pill in the lottery to make it through the rest of the race at that point. So I'm not too upset that what happened because it was going to happen to somebody.
In case you were wondering, no, they didn't leave. They're back. Sam Hornish Jr., James Hinchcliffe with us tonight on Speed Center. Want some reaction on Marcus Ambrose? You and I talked this morning about the pressure that comes with starting on the pole and going for your third consecutive victory at the track, and obvious disappointment for that 9 team.
Well, Adam, they're going to be thinking about that not only through the next week, but they're going to think about it all year. Watkins Glen is one of those places where he feels like he can go there and almost just walk into or back into a top 5. He knows how to get around there. He's so fast. But when you get back in the pack, it's so easy to get rubbed on somebody, to have some kind of issue, and also just to be able to get caught up in somebody else's problems. So they're going to be thinking about that because he knows how big of a day that can be for him.
And one team that's been able to take advantage recently when it comes to the road courses, Michael Waltrip Racing. You really don't think of them in that regard, but I guess we're going to have to because they've been strong, James.
They've got the record to back it up. I mean, you've got Boyer, who won the race in Sonoma last year, Truex, who took it this year, another top 5 for him at Watkins Glen, moves him back into the top 10 in points. They're clearly doing something right on these tracks where you got to turn right, and this is probably one of those teams that's wishing that there was a road course in the chase.
And Truex is a guy that even though he has that win at Sonoma, has spent a lot of time outside the top 10. If they can stay in the top 10, it's huge because, Sam, they get those bonus points when we go to the playoffs.
Yeah, right now he's got, you know, the bonus points for one race win. And 10 points makes all the difference in the world when it comes down to what these are at the end of the season and what 5, 1, 2 points can be. So I think they're really looking forward to trying to have a good, strong run in there and not have to use that wild card position.
Just ask Carl Edwards what 10 points would mean in the chase, right?
One means.
When Speed Center continues, we head to the auction block. Reno, Nevada, hosting Barrett Jackson this weekend. We deliver the top sellers and highlights of a GOAT doing the TORC. You are watching a Speed Center Sunday night.
You're watching Speed Center.
James and Sam, they love cars, and that's good because right now we're going to talk Barrett-Jackson in Reno, Nevada this weekend. Have you ever thought about going to the Barrett-Jackson and getting a bidding card?
I've been once as a spectator. I didn't. I was not on the list. They did not give me permission or power to authority to bid on anything, but it was quite an experience, man. There are some awesome pieces there.
We'll get you a paddle, and Sam, you know you can bid online as well. So.
Yeah, thanks for telling me. That's what I need to do is have one more thing to be bidding on.
There you go. Top seller this weekend. All goes to charity. Congratulations on this one. A 2014 Shelby GT 500 convertible, $500,000. And if there's one thing you can say about Barrett-Jackson, they are not afraid to spend money on charity. And here is a look at the GT 500 convertible. That's nice, huh?
It is nice. And can I just say, on that top 6 list, 5 of those were Chevys.
And so
I drive a Chevy Tahoe.
I might have to get in between you two because
the top seller was a Ford, so that's what's really important here.
Yeah, the top seller
and
was
charity.
That's right. And you drive a Chevrolet. And what's the best vehicle you ever had, Sam? Huh?
2013 Ford Mustang.
Oh, that answers it. Okay, and now we'll transition and talk torque. And who is your favorite torque driver?
Rob McCachran, duh.
Rob McCachran. And this weekend, Torque on Track. And they were running at Red Bud in Michigan. Let's check it out. See, you know who was there? The GOAT, Ricky Carmichael, making his Pro Light debut. He finished 12th. He wasn't great, okay? But lap 2, Mike Jenkins spins. He collects Ricky Johnson, and that opened the door for Johnny Greaves to get the top spot. And it was all going pretty good for Greaves. But then he would have a little issue right here, and Jenkins gets back by Greaves, and he goes on to get his first win of the season. Way to go, Mr. Jenkins. He does it at Red Bud in Michigan. Okay, so today, Rob McCachran, and since you're like the leader of his fan club, I'm going to let you tell everyone how he did.
Rob came first. My man Rob delivered like he always does, come hell or high water, quite literally. He put his car in a pond and still came back and won one time. This guy's going places.
If you know Rob McCachran, you know he saves his best for Sunday afternoon. Still plenty of questions surrounding Tony Stewart and who will be in his number 14 going forward. That's coming up. And the latest on Smoke's condition. Robin Miller joins us to talk about who we might see behind the wheel next, plus a couple of big names getting roughed up in New York. We're talking motocross. They gave us some wow factor nominees this weekend. Finished today for the Sprint Cup Series at Watkins Glen. Kyle Busch holding off Brad Keselowski. BK doing all he can to get there, but he could not get to the bumper of the 18. Kyle getting his 3rd win of the year, and how about this? An impressive 7th win of the season for Joe Gibbs Racing. And perhaps even more impressive than that, these stats. The 2-car has finished 2nd at Watkins Glen now 4 years in a row. Kurt Busch driving in 2010, and for Brad Keselowski, he has now got the hat trick. Yep, 3 consecutive runner-up finishes. That's somewhat disappointing, I would guess. And now Max Pappas, who is filling in for Tony Stewart today, started 29th, had some problems on track, but he did rally and finish in the 15th position. Not bad for Mad Max. For more on what's going to happen with the 14 car, here's Bob Dillner.
A big day for Stewart-Haas Racing when they get back to their shops tomorrow to decide who will replace Tony Stewart when we get to Michigan International next week. At the road course here at Watkins Glen, Max Pappas did a fine job with a 15th place run. But from here on out, all oval tracks. So this team would like an oval track driver. Greg Zipadelli telling me this week that they would like one driver from here on out. But that might not be possible because next week, the Nationwide Series is one state over from Michigan at Mid-Ohio. So guys like Regan Smith, maybe even Austin Dillon, might not be available. Who is the next likely candidate? Well, the one we do know that has worked with the team is Scott Riggs. He has tested for the team on several occasions this year, so it'll be a big decision day for Stewart-Haas Racing tomorrow.
Robin Miller with us now on Speed Center. He has traded in his tie for a sweatshirt.
Parnelli Jones, buddy. 80 years old tomorrow. Oldest living Indy 500 winner.
Happy birthday to Parnelli. And now back to the Tony Stewart situation. What do you think about him going and racing on dirt when he really makes his living on the weekends running a Sprint Cup car?
Well, you just said it. He makes his living in NASCAR. He has his fun on the dirt. His passion's on the dirt. His life's always been on the dirt. That's how he grew up racing. And when he was driving for Joe Gibbs, you know, they had the clamps on him. But now he's his own guy, do what he wants to do. And he turned this thing to keep from hurting this guy. But then the guy spins right in front of him. But people are like, oh, he shouldn't be doing that. Believe me, that keeps him going. He races, he does it because it's his passion. He's always done it. But the most important thing is, it's what he looks forward to. I mean, I don't know that he looks forward to going to 36 NASCAR races a year, but he looks forward to this. Plus, he's a little short track guy. He wants to keep short track racing going. When he shows up at a race, it's a big deal.
James, what about your contract? Does it prohibit you from doing something other than IndyCar in the off time?
There's a list longer than I care to go into of all the things I can't do. Basically, if it's fun, you're not allowed to do it. But at the end of
We're
the
just
day,
glad they let you do TV.
Well, exactly. This one's not too dangerous, even though I have tripped over this set before. But the thing is, in Tony's situation, it's very unique. He's his own boss. His contract can say whatever he wants it to. And going back to what Robin said about with Gibbs, you know, that was a bit of a, headbutting there. But here, he doesn't have to do that. He's got the freedom.
Going forward, Sam, we don't know for sure, as Bob reported, who's going to be in the race car. Last summer and late in 2012, you were filling in that 22 machine. How difficult for a driver to jump into a seat when they're not accustomed to being there week in and week out?
Well, you're not just jumping in anybody's seat. You're jumping into Tony Stewart's seat. And obviously, it's going to be difficult for whoever does it. There's a lot of unknowns, especially with next weekend's race being a non-companion event between the Nationwide Series and the Cup Series. So if you look at the people that are out there that are available to race, I don't know who's going to do it that's not going to be a Nationwide driver at this point in time. So it'll be interesting to see who they fill in for that race. Everybody's got a good idea after that. And when you really sit down and look at it, it's going to be one of those seats where they're going to have a lot of time to fill in.
I know at the top of the hour you're going to be on Wind Tunnel with Dave Despain. I hope he gives you more time than we did, my man.
Well, I'm just happy to be part of the team, brother.
Yeah, and which one of these does not belong? I'll let you decide.
A, B, or C.
Michigan International Speedway, the next stop for the Sprint Cup Series. The trucks will be there as well after a week off. Here's our plan on Friday. Cup practice, noon. Trucks final practice at 2. Cup qualifying followed by trackside at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time right here on Speed. And when we get there, that battle for the wild card going to be tight. You look outside the top 10. Kane fell out today with those 2 wins. He has wild card position number 1. Wild card spot number 2 right now to Ryan Newman. And what about Kurt Busch? Won the championship in 2004. He's right back in the mix. Sam is with us once again on Speed Center. He's 11th, talking about Kurt Busch, only 2 points outside the top 10.
Yeah, he's in a really good position. Obviously, they'd like to be a little bit further up on it, but Kurt really knows these next couple of tracks well. He's got multiple wins at these tracks, and when you look at what he was able to do at Michigan earlier this year, he led a bunch of laps early in the race, and I think he's got a great opportunity to continue to build momentum and try to close off really strong and make the chase.
You mentioned how strong they were at Michigan earlier this season. Then we go to Bristol. Kurt has made a living at that place. Certainly, he's a guy to keep an eye on when you talk about drivers going after a position in the chase. Speed Center, far from over. Motocross closing in on the end of the 2013 season. Ryan Villopoto trying to put another nail in the coffin. Highlights on the way. And it's our wow factor. Sam and James join me for this high-flying, hard-hitting edition. Stay with us.
You're watching Speed Center.
If you tuned in tonight and you're saying, where are the bikes? We got them. It's the Geico 2-wheel update. Oh, my goodness. Trey Kennard and Mike Alessi up and over the handlebars. I mean, that's a wow factor nominee, and it's coming up in a couple of minutes, so hang right here, okay? James Stewart, 3rd in Moto 1. Moto 2, he didn't finish, went down hard. Man, this guy has taken some hard hits in his career. Your winner, no big surprise, Ryan Villopoto, who goes 1-1 at Unadilla. And if you do that, then it must mean you're leading the championship, right? Yes, he is by 44 over the other Ryan Dungey. Justin Barcia, James Stewart, and Trey Kennard round out the top 5, but are out of championship contention. And now a reminder of those who are hauling home the hardware this weekend. We start with the World of Outlaws running the Knoxville Nationals for the 53rd time. It's a really big deal in Iowa. And I'll tell you who's a really big deal, Donnie Schatz. He's won 7 of the last 8. And he gets to stand with the pretty girls nationwide series at Watkins Glen. Brad Keselowski got the victory. Congratulations to him. But Sam Hornish Jr. was second, and we're happy about that in the Speed Center. Sprint Cup Series today, Brad took Sam's spot. He was a runner-up because Kyle Busch got a nice caution, middle stages of the race, took over the lead, gets his third win of the year. And now the top 6 moments of the weekend. It's our wow factor.
My favorite part.
It is. You know, this is not a rehearsal. This is live.
Oh.
Okay.
What?
Here we go. Go to the video. Give us something else to talk about. Number 6, back to Unadilla. Trey Canard up and over.
I call this one the Adam Alexander because I know you like doing cartwheels before the show, and he's doing cartwheels at the start of the race.
Yeah, I stuck the landing a lot better, though.
That's a good point.
And I'm not going to the chiropractor tomorrow. Number 5, we're going to Knoxville. Friday night, the prelims. That's James McFadden starting the 5-car pileup.
I'm going to guess it didn't tickle.
How about number 4? We get with 3 different guys here. Among them, our favorite, Kevin Thomas Jr.
KTJ.
KTJ. That's one. The second, going to be Robert Ballou. But my favorite, how about this, Sam? Hunter Schurenberg.
That's a tough decision whether to try to stay on the track or to just go off the track.
Out of the park. You know about crashes at Watkins Glen. What's Casey Kane thinking right here,
I'm
Sam?
just glad I didn't make the wow factor.
No,
They keep showing that replay from the Glen so many times. You go off the track at the Glen, no matter who hits you or what happens, you're going to get hit by somebody
It
else.
was the 88 car, not the 77. You can feel good. How about the disappointment and frustration for Marcos Ambrose, James?
Well, here's the thing. Obviously, throws the wheelies, upset, we get that. But this is the part that impresses me the most. The accuracy with which he throws the helmet in the Hansa, that's tough, man. If it bounces off the window, that's going to come back and hit you.
Number 1, it's the number 1 most embarrassing moment all time for Alex Tagliani, who lost a bet with Scott Dixon and doing this at the Indiana State Fair.
Brother, he's the beaver from Canada. If Scott lost, he's going to have to dress up as a sheep. I gotta own up to it. That is my countryman there. He's representing Canada. That's what we got.
These IndyCar guys.
Oh, boy. I'll tell you. Anyway, there you go. And guys, thanks for being a part of the Speed Center. Good luck the rest of the year, all right?
Thank you.
I promised myself I wouldn't cry.
Please don't. I'll pick him up during the break. Stay with us. More to come.
Speed Center is brought to you by Rent-A-Center, where the Rent-A-Center Flex Plan gives you the freedom to get the brands you want. And by Mazda and the Mazda 6.
Time to select our Royal Purple Outperformer of the Week. And we had some really good nominees. Among them, Kyle Busch, who was outstanding today at Watkins Glen. But getting the award this week is the Royal Purple Outperformer of the Week, Donnie Schatz, who's celebrating again on the big stage in Knoxville, Iowa. He won the Nationals last night. How about this? He's got the checkered flag 7 of the last 8 years. He won from 21st. That's the deepest a winner has ever started. And oh, by the way, he's finished first or second in 11 of the last 12 races. That is absolutely amazing. Time now for our final lap. And I'm sure you have probably heard by now, this is the final edition of Speed Center. You know, we have been your home for motorsports news on Sunday evening for more than 12 years. The name of our program has changed a few times. The one common thread, when it happened at the track, we've been here to tell you all about it. It's always fun to celebrate a driver's trip to victory lane. Sadly, we've had some tragedy along the way as well. Regardless of the headline, we thank you for making us a part of your schedule on Sunday evenings. And while we are going away, there will be more than enough motorsports coverage ahead on Fox Sports 1. We hope you will join us there. For our producer, Greg Kekele, who puts his passion into this show each and every week, and one of the best in the business, our director, Danny Glovach. For all of us here in the Speed Center family, I'm Adam Alexander. For the final time, good night and stay tuned. Wind Tunnel with Dave Despain is next.
You've been watching Speed Center.